to the Kingdom Athletes podcast. I'm your host, Sam Gonzalez. Today, I am joined by one of my good friends, Connor Mackey, part of the New York Ranger organization, number 14 for the Hartford Wolfpack. Mackey, welcome to the Kingdom Athletes podcast, my friend.
Thanks for having me on, man. Great to see you. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for saying yes. Like I was telling you off camera, you were one of those guys early on where when I asked you about if this was a good idea or not, you were like, yeah, I would watch that. And then I was like, cool, would you do it? And you were like, yep, I'll do it. So I was like, all right, I guess I got to do it now. So thank you for hopping on here. Like it means a ton.
Of course.
It means a ton. So real quick, because I know it will help both of us with the nerves, right? Because this is new for both of us. This is your first ever podcast, right?
First ever, yeah.
Okay, let's go. So that's going to be one of my claim to fames, that this is your first ever podcast. You and I are both big coffee guys. In Hartford, you're known as being one of the guys. So I've got mine. You got your. There it is. Cheers, my friend.
Yeah.
Take a sip.
Cheers.
All right, there it is. Coffee's in the system. We're dialed, ready to go. Yeah, so the whole premise of the Kingdom Athletes podcast, something that you and I have talked about for months now, really like what God was putting in my heart, is to create a platform, but most importantly, like a community of athletes who are followers of Jesus, and just giving the opportunity to share their stories, to share, their experiences within sports, faith, their journey to get to where they are. Because I'm a huge fan of origin stories. I know, you being a professional hockey player, that doesn't happen overnight. Like there's things that took place over the years to get you there. And so with this pod, the goal is really to just be able to hear those stories and talk about whatever God puts on our hearts. And he'll get the glory from all of it. So with all of that, I'm going to kind of pass it to you. And can you just share who you are and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, for sure, man. I grew up in Illinois suburbs, small town called Tower Lakes, and I always grew up loving hockey. I don't know if a lot of people know this. My dad actually played in the NHL. He played 14 years pro. So
legend.
At a young age, I was introduced to the game. I still remember my brother. I have a twin brother as well, and him and I would. My dad his last year of pro, played for the Chicago Wolves in Illinois, and we were like 3 or 4 at the time. So I remember him taking us in the locker room a couple times and just being around, and just grew up around the game really. So like instantly fell in love with hockey, and growing up just always played with my brother. It was like knee hockey or street hockey, and
Mm-hmm.
Got into minor hockey and just loved it. It was always something that my brother and I wanted to do is be a pro hockey player, and we from a young age we really just worked as hard as we could and really loved the game. I think that was a lot of guys, for myself, like I see a lot of people now, and even a young player now, it's like there's so much stuff going on, and I feel like they maybe treat it as a job at a young age, and for myself, like I just loved it so much. It was just play hockey and see what happens, go as far as you can. And I kind of just grew up playing for my minor hockey team my whole life. Played a little high school hockey, and then played AAA hockey really later when I was 17, 18 years old. So kind of the unorthodox path as far as a young age.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a late bloomer. And then, after I was 18, graduated from my hometown high school, grew up with all my buddies, and played AAA my last season, and went to the USHL from there. I was drafted by the Green Bay Gamblers, late 13th round, so they took a chance on me, and ended up making the team. I was there for 2 seasons. Didn't play a lot my first season, Then second year, I had a really good season. Committed to Minnesota State Mankato. Went there, ended up playing college hockey there for 3 seasons. I loved every second of it. I owe a lot to that school, and um, it really helped me kind of become the man I am today. The people in that program and taught me how to be, a true hockey player.
Mm.
Just the details of the game and everything. Um, yeah, from there, after my third season there, I signed with the Calgary Flames. I was never drafted. Spent 3 seasons pretty much up and down through that organization. I love my time there. It was really good. They gave me the opportunity to play in the NHL, so I'm very
Yeah.
grateful for them. Yeah, and I got traded my last year of my contract to Arizona. So finish out the season with them, last 20 games or so. And then that summer I was a free agent. I ended up signing with New York. This is 2 summers ago.
Hmm.
And yeah, I've been with the Rangers organization ever since. So now here we are 2 years later.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I got to where I am today.
Yeah. I love it. All right. So we're gonna slow slice it because you shared a lot in a couple of minutes there, right? So like you grew up, your dad's a pro hockey player for 14 years. And then you talked about just like the love of the game, right? And how
Hmm.
almost like the younger generation, and maybe it's like social media, things like that. Scouting happens like significantly younger, right? But can you just talk about how a genuine love for the game that I'm believing your dad definitely helped instill in both you and your brother, how that has helped carry you throughout your career of where you genuinely love the game of hockey?
For sure, yeah. Yeah, I think um, you have to have that in you to I feel like to make it this far. You
Mm-hmm.
have to love it, to love what you do. And I still love playing.
Mm-hmm.
It is a grind, but just coming to the rink, finding that joy um, in on the ice and off the ice. Um, yeah, I'm very very grateful. I think part of it too, like how looking back on it, growing up, it was my dad having such a successful pro career.
Mm-hmm.
He never pushed my brother and I to, hey, you got to go to the rink, you got to go to the gym, you got to do this, you got to shoot pucks. He never did that. He always was like, you guys can do whatever you want. If you want to play baseball or basketball or, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter to him. We don't need to play hockey, but we loved hockey. He never pushed anything on us.
Yeah.
We felt that love for the game ourselves, not from somebody else, and it wasn't forced. Um, and I think that was probably that's a big reason why where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's huge. Like parents not pushing stuff on kids, especially when it
Hmm.
comes to sports. Like you see that growing up. I remember like all the hockey parents like banging on the glass, cussing refs out, all of that stuff. Cause it's like they're almost living vicariously through their kid. Right.
Yeah,
But you and your brother not having it that way, I think is awesome. Right. So, but with that, so like he didn't push it on you. How impactful has it been throughout your career, right? Both minor hockey, juniors, college, pro, having your dad that you can go to who's been there before. Like how impactful has that been?
yeah, super impactful. Yeah, I'm very very lucky. He actually just texted me. We played last night. He just texted me about an hour ago
Mm-hmm.
about the game. So he watches every game, and um, especially too breaking into junior hockey and college hockey and pro
Mm-hmm.
hockey. You kind of know a lot. You just see a lot of kids coming now, and they don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
Just little things like even off the ice or in the room. Um, so we growing up around it, we already had that kind of foundation of like what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as far as if him, super super lucky that I can a guy I could lean on, and he's helped me a lot with advice and
Mm-hmm.
with contract talks and just honestly so much. He was a forward, I'm a defenseman, so
Yeah.
there's a little difference. Sometimes his opinion, mine, like we do see things differently, even though, um, he's played a lot longer than I have.
Yeah.
But there's stuff obviously we agree on as well. But
Yeah.
we're always talking about hockey, and whether it's about my game or the Four Nations, for example,
Yeah.
was on a month or two ago, and watching that, or watching the Rangers play, or watching another team play.
Yeah.
Um, it's just fun to talk about the game as well.
Yeah.
Let alone my own game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've never asked you this before, but have you always been a defenseman?
Um, for the most part, yeah.
Okay.
Growing up, my dad put me on D because he said I was the only guy that could skate backwards from a young age.
Yeah.
So that's how I guess I got that's how I got to be a defenseman.
Yeah.
Which I found out later. That's why he put me back there.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of center uh, for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like 13, 14, 15. I actually played center for a couple years.
Okay.
Then I would kind of flip-flop back on D sometimes. So I would go back and forth, and then when I got older, it was like, okay, I'm a defenseman.
Yeah.
When I was moving up, I was like, this is my position.
Yeah. You just locked into being a D man.
Yeah, for sure.
I've seen you with the puck on your stick though. You still got that center instinct in you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I rely on my IQ out there too, right? So if I find myself in different positions, I know what I'm doing. So it definitely helps playing center, helps me
Yeah.
all over the ice.
Yep. Yeah, you bring up like hockey IQ. Can you just talk a little bit about like how significant that is, right? Cuz I'm believing that with this podcast there's going to be, the generation of younger athletes who are watching this and tuning into these episodes, and we live in such like a highlight reel just kind of culture right now. You look at, you look through your timeline, you look through reels on Instagram, whatever it is, and it's just like all the trick shots, all the fancy plays. And I just wonder how many people of the younger generation are like really developing the IQ of the game, right? And not just being like an individual goal scorer type deal, but like knowing the game well. Can you just talk to like the significance of that, and then even how you like have gone about it over the course of your career?
For sure, yeah. You see it a lot. I mean, you mentioned it with the Instagram and just the clips of skills coaches and everything. And I've there's definitely a place for all of that.
Yeah.
I do think now it seems like I touched on it briefly earlier, but just the growing up and all the camps and all the skill development and all of this skating coaches, and again, I think it's really good, but I don't think it's good to overdo some of that. And I think to develop, because you can have all the skill in the world and skate the fastest, and if you don't have the brain to for the game, then I don't think that I think a brain's going to take you a lot farther than individual skill set.
Yeah.
So I think there's for myself, like how I grew up playing a lot of pond hockey with my brother and my dad, and just going out to the rink by myself,
Yeah.
or with my brother on the pond,
Yeah.
and just with a stick and a puck and a net, and just like being creative,
for hours
playing
just out there.
For hours,
Yeah.
every day in the winter, before school, after school.
Yeah.
And just then playing with buddies, like 3-on-3 pond hockey tournament. Like,
There's
just
nothing
like
better than that.
come over, play all day for 8 hours on the pond. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's like how you get your creative and your IQ, and when it's just you and like my brother, for example, it's just us, and we're just like having fun out there.
Yeah.
And we're doing our own thing. No one's telling us what to do. I think that's important.
Yeah.
And I feel like that maybe gets a little lost today.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So,
and you know what? As you're saying that, that's also a huge contributor to the love of the game. Is just being out there. Because did you say,
absolutely,
like, how close was the pond that you were going to?
It was. We lived on a small lake. It was right in our backyard. So I would
that's prime.
just walk. It was
That's
unbelievable.
prime.
Yeah. 50 yards. I'd walk right on the rink, and
Yeah.
it was awesome.
Yeah, some of my favorite memories playing growing up was my buddy Tim Costello. his dad built a backyard rink every winter, and we played high school hockey together. But as awesome as those seasons were, and playing with the boys and friends from school and stuff, it was those Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, because we typically played on Fridays, but that Monday through Thursday every night after school, going to his
Yeah,
house, playing 3-on-3 with he would put on like some old goalie pads, no cup, like just absolute savage in net, 2-on-2, 3-on-3 backyard hockey. Like those are the best memories.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I have so many of those growing up, and my dad actually we would put on our own like tournament,
Would you?
like right after, yeah, and have everyone in the neighborhood over, and it was a cool thing to to just experience with all my friends and family.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. Those are the best times,
Mm-hmm.
just with your buddies playing in the backyard pond.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's nothing that can replace that, cuz like the highs and lows of playing actual games, tournaments, stuff like that, there's a lot of weight and a lot of pressure to it, but to just
Hmm.
be out on a pond or a backyard rink, there's no pressure. It's just good times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So you said you were a bit of a late bloomer, right? So
Yeah,
you played all 4 years of high school hockey, or you played three?
3 years,
Okay.
and then my last season, yeah, I played AAA hockey, Team Illinois.
Okay.
It's a little bit different in Illinois. When I was growing up, there was only four AAA teams in the state.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to kind of move on, you had to
Yeah.
play for one of those teams.
Yeah.
I think they've branched off a little bit now. I don't know. I
Four
don't know if there's
seems
five,
like
six,
a very
seven
small
teams, but
number for how
it's a small
big
number.
for
Yeah,
how big that
yeah,
state is.
for sure. Yeah, I know. Like different states are different.
Hmm.
Minnesota, like they're big on high school hockey, and like
Yeah.
every team is like so good and
Yeah.
so much, so many like probably scouts at the game and everything. But yeah, there's only four teams, so um, my brother and I played for Team Illinois, and yeah,
Yeah.
so it was a lot of fun that year. Something different, but that was like kind of the make or break, honestly, of
Hmm.
probably my career. And
Yeah.
then having a decent season there, we actually ended up winning our league that year.
Mm.
We lost in the state championship final, and then we did win our whole league.
Yeah.
But yeah, that season helped me move on to junior hockey, and then
Yep.
so on and so forth.
Yeah. That time of high school, especially for hockey, I feel like is really kind of where there's the great divide of like the guys who are going to the next level and then the guys who are just going to play for fun. I remember, so I
Mhm.
played 3 years of high school hockey. My senior year is when I started to play juniors. And, I was good enough to play in juniors, but then I quickly realized my talent was capped because then you start playing against guys who are just built different, right? And so
Mhm.
similar to you, I was 18, my first year of juniors. I played against Jack Eichel, and he was only 14. And this, like, we had heard that this kid was good, like he was going to go play for Team USA, all this stuff. And just being a goalie, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to let this kid score on me, right? Nasty. It
Yeah.
like he came through the neutral zone, put the puck through my defenseman's legs, snapped a quick little wrist shot, bar down, like put it in between my glove and my ear, bar down, it just dropped behind the goal line. And I remember thinking to myself, I've got a cap to how far I'm going because that's different.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
special talent for sure.
Yeah. So for you to get into juniors and then to get drafted into the USHL, right? 13th round doesn't even matter. You got drafted into the USHL. That's a big deal, right? For those who don't know, USHL is the top of junior hockey in the US right now. And has been for a while. So for you to get drafted, what was that transition like for you going from high school hockey, kind of more like local junior hockey, to then USHL playing against the best throughout the country? Like what was that transition? Not only skill level, but also just like lifestyle wise for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely an adjustment. You know, that was my first time too. You move away from home
Mm.
after high school. So that was hard. I was lucky being in Green Bay. I was only 3 hours from home.
Yeah.
So, I did have family and friends come visit quite often for the games. But I was super lucky as far as outside of hockey. I lived with a great billet family, and they took me in. I wasn't even supposed to be there, I think. I think they ended up taking a liking to me and said,
Yeah.
hey, if this kid makes the team, then we got to keep him. And I ended up making the team. So I lived with them for 2 years, and I actually still keep in contact with them today. And my billet mom, and I follow her on Facebook. She's always posting stuff.
Yeah.
And my billet brother and two brothers and sister, and trying to reach out to them on their birthdays and see how they're doing. So that was super. I was super lucky that way. I lived with one of the guys on the team as well. We had kind of the basement to ourselves.
Cool.
So that made it a lot smoother of a transition. Just having such a good family that took me in.
Yeah.
As far as the hockey side, yeah, it was definitely a step up. You're that's kind of the first time you see, you step in a room and you look around the room and, oh, this guy's drafted, this guy's Florida Panthers draft pick, or this guy's so that was like, you kind of feel those nerves and like, how am I going to compare to these guys? And then, once you get on the ice, you try to forget about all that. It was definitely a faster pace, I remember. And we had a pretty good team my first season. I did not play a lot. I was kind of the seventh, in and out of the lineup quite a bit. We had a lot of good players, and it was just good though for me even if I wasn't playing, just being in practice with those guys. I was getting better every day. It was always and I knew, hey, I'm hopefully can come back next season, and I wanted to play that season, and for whatever reason, I was in and out. I was fighting for a job on the team, on my own team, right? You're always kind of fighting for a job. But yeah, then coming back the next season, it training that off season, it just gave me so much confidence, like knowing I'm coming back. I was the only returning defenseman, which boded well for me. Kind of gave me the confidence. Hey, like, who's going to be the guy to kind of lead the back end here? And it's like, well, I'm the only guy returning. This is going to be me. So, coach, fortunately he gave me an opportunity to do that, and I capitalized on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which then leads you to playing in college, right? So what was that like to play some college hockey?
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Also, like, Minnesota State, Mankato, they were also pretty close, like being in the Midwest, like the 6 hours too. So again, like, nice just to be sort of close to home.
Yeah.
But it was, that walking into that program and just first time on a college campus, like not knowing what to expect, and then 3 years later leaving.
Yeah.
It's like you're a whole different person. It was crazy. Like, I was just a kid coming in. I was 20.
Yep.
I was a young kid. I didn't know. It was just a crazy experience, honestly. My first year there.
Yeah.
And I remember my first meeting ever. It was in the summertime. We had to report early. So it would have been like third week of June, or maybe a little earlier than that. Yeah, no, it was the third week of June. We had to report early and do like off ice workouts, and that was the first time I came in and met everyone on the team, and seniors and juniors and all the staff, coaching staff, and to be together at least. I had met the staff before and everything when I visited, but and our head coach, Mike Hastings, really good coach. He coaches the Wisconsin Badgers now, but
awesome.
I'll never forget the meeting, and he just set the tone right away. And I was like, holy cow! Like, he was almost like yelling, and he was almost yelling at guys, and he was, and I was like, holy cow! I was just like so scared. I was like, man,
put the fear of God into you guys day one.
Yeah, and he set the tone and just like had a standard. This is how it's gonna be. And this is how we're going to act, and this is how we're going to play. This is how we're going to, treat other people. So I was always I feel like growing up a pretty good listener and was like, curious and okay, like this is like, I was like up for the challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, just really, really, and then obviously the transition to the hockey side
Yeah.
was also a bit of an adjustment. Like you're playing against men now.
Yeah.
Juniors, 16, 17 to 20.
Yep.
College can be, there's some younger guys too. We had a bit of an older program.
Mm-hmm.
So anywhere from, 19, 20 to like 23, 24, some guys were even older.
Yeah.
So I was still like growing even at that age, 20. I turned 21 when the season started.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 185 pounds. Like I was still not, physically developed. So definitely went through some growing pains my first year, but I was grateful that I played every game as a freshman. And
That's huge.
I don't know if a lot. Yeah, it was huge. Not many people did that. The other freshmen in my class, a lot of them were kind of in and out, and so I was very fortunate to play every game, and they definitely gave me a leash to grow and find my game. And by the end of the season, I feel like I was really an impactful player, even as a 21-year-old for that team. And then coming back, my sophomore, junior year, I was really, they kind of gave me, similar to my second year junior, the opportunity to kind of, run the power play, be the kind of the man back there and be the leader. So yeah, I'm grateful for that. They were the first ones that kind of see something in me.
Mm-hmm.
They recruited me, and just ended up having a really good sophomore, junior year. We had really good teams all 3 years. We had great teams.
Yeah.
My best friends. We had 9 people. We had nine of my 9 people in my freshman class. That so I had a big class to come in with. And there's so many great things happen there. Off the ice, on the ice, and really grateful for that program.
Yeah. That's one of those things that people who play hockey know, but those who aren't familiar with the culture of hockey, the friends you make, it's lifetime.
Yeah.
Like at every age and stage, right? So for a pretty big freshman class, you said 9 guys, right? How important, because you had talked about the standard that the coach established, right? So like, and you're now playing against men. So like, how important is having that standard, and like, how has that impacted you to where you are now? Because I know it builds, but there's always a starting point for like how you're going to carry yourself as a player and as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. I mean, especially when you're kind of turning pro, like he was like, it was almost run like a pro organization as far as the hockey side of things right away. And I feel like setting that standard and getting everyone to buy in, that's what makes a successful team, right? When everyone's on the same page and believing in one another. And so, I think, and then just after that, kind of how that instilled in me is, it's just stuck really. I mean, 3 years, under that like standard is a long time, and you don't lose that. I feel the things you learn and just the habits and the values as a person and as a player. I've really tried to take that and into my life now and when I turn pro as well.
Yeah. All right. So turning pro, you play 3 years of college puck, and then Calgary scoops you up.
Yep.
Tell me about it, because that's the dream. The dream became reality in that moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it did. So I signed with the Flames. It was kind of a weird one. It was like right around the COVID time. So my first year pro, we had no fans. So it was definitely
so weird.
It is weird. Like you dream of the first game, and you dream of playing the NHL, and it's with a sold out 20,000 arena, and my first game was nobody.
Yeah. Did they at least have the cardboard cutouts?
They had a couple. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is funny. But yeah, I mean, I feel like every stage, I touched on it before. It's like it's always an adjustment. I mean, even at that age, I was 23, going into pro hockey, and it was different than college hockey, just like, college hockey was different from junior hockey.
Yeah.
So definitely, still, I went through a time where I had to learn the pro game, and there's things I can do out here on the ice that I couldn't do in college. And um, yeah, my first season was I was mostly on our affiliate team, Stockton Heat. Because it was COVID times, we were located in Calgary, so we were still in Canada. Um, and yeah, I mean that season um, was probably benefited me coming from college, the shorter schedule.
Yeah.
College you play like maximum 40 games, and that season was like that first year pro was like half a real pro season. I think I only played like 35 games that year.
Yeah.
So I think it was almost, looking back, it was almost like the perfect thing for me. Like to transition it, I got like half a pro season instead of like a full 82 game, right off the hop, like full pro schedule. And so it kind of allowed me to just like, okay, I feel like settle in a bit easier.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of good guys on the team, both teams, but yeah, sorry, do you want me to touch on all my pro career or just the
No,
Calgary time?
we'll get into it, because I'm just like, again, origin story, right? So like,
yeah,
your dad played pro 14 years.
Yeah.
And then you end up in the pros, and you had touched on like that. That's the dream. So like, even just share like what that was like being able to, when did you find out? Because you said you weren't drafted. So like, how did that process go? And then like, what was it like for you individually, and then like even your family, and the conversations you were able to have with your dad.
Yeah, when I knew I was going to sign a pro contract. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, I had a lot of, my time in college, I was kind of getting recruited, so I had a lot of conversations with teams, and my dad was a huge part of it. It was a lot of fun looking back. I think even when I'm older, I kind of reflect on more and how fun that time was. Just kind of getting recruited, it was cool. It was really cool, and kind of facilitating what team, was kind of the best opportunity for me, and where to sign. And yeah, my dad had a huge impact on that. My agent as well, obviously, but it was a special time.
Yeah.
Just to, I guess, feel that, and then kind of when it came to fruition, then it was like, okay, like, all this is over, but now the real work starts. So, yeah, I was super lucky that my dad was there to help me out, because it was definitely a process, and I had a lot of help from my coaches too at school and everything. But yeah,
when did you realize that it was going in that direction?
Probably, I mean, after my second year junior, I had a really good second year junior, and I was like starting to talk to teams, and teams are inviting me to their development camps in the summer.
Okay.
Just like the mini camps they would have for like prospects and stuff like that. So, and I went to Calgary's camp.
Okay.
After my second year junior,
so
they were like
interested. That was before college. Like you got
they were
got a taste of it, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was before college.
Yeah.
And I had a couple invites, and I went to Calgary's camp. So that was really how the like kind of relationship with the Flames started.
Yeah.
And they were really. I'm lucky because they were kind of there the whole time. They never like pushed me, hey, we want to sign you, or my sophomore year I had an opportunity to sign. I said I want to go back for my junior year, and then they were still supportive of me. Hey, no problem.
Yeah.
We're gonna be there still. We still like you, and after your junior year, and other teams weren't as thrilled. When I said I'm staying for another year, and then that kind of changed things, and for whatever reason, they see you in your plans or not, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it hit me probably after my first year junior, and then even I had a pretty good freshman year of college, and then right, like I had a really good start to my sophomore year of college. Uh, and I would say like a month or two in, I was starting to get a lot more like press and like
Yeah.
things like that. And then it was kind of like, okay, it was kind of a lot more real, I would say,
Yeah.
going into that season. Then my sophomore year season, it got really real,
Yeah.
and teams really started to reach out. And then you start to think, okay, like this is something, I might be able to have the opportunity to do when I'm done here.
Yeah.
Um, Even though I always knew I think I could get there, I always believed in myself and wanted to get there.
Yeah.
But when you're in junior, even a freshman, it's like it seems like it's so far away, and then it's like goes by like that, and
Yeah.
then it's like okay, like, then you're signing the paper. It's
Yeah.
like now you're here.
Yeah.
So
Time flies.
um,
I mean, it really does go
but
quick, especially
yeah,
that season of life, like high school, college. When you're in it, it feels like it's an eternity, but those 8 years or so, it's gone in the snap of a finger,
big time,
And I
big time.
remember
Yeah,
just even like my time as a youth pastor, like primarily dealing with middle school kids and high school kids and just telling them like just enjoy it, like it's gonna go faster than you realize. um
yeah.
and so do you feel like, kind of looking back, you were able to enjoy it?
I do. Yeah, I do. I never took anything for granted. I
Yeah.
just like my times at college and when I was getting recruited,
Hmm.
I knew it was just how my even just growing up and how cool that was for me. And like I said, I was kind of a late bloomer, and
Yeah.
um, so just I was to have that dream and then to kind of live it a little bit
Yeah.
even before I turned pro. It was like when teams were calling about me, it was really special.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah,
That's super cool.
yeah.
So, all right, now you're in the pros. First year is weird because it's COVID, and
Mhm.
you're trying to navigate that. So that was 2020. That was so 2019 going into 2020, right? Or 2020 was
Um,
the first year.
it would have been 2020, 2021 would be my first year
Okay.
of
Yeah, yeah,
pro.
yeah.
Pro, yeah.
So, that was right around the same time that I became a chaplain, which,
Okay.
for me was full circle, God doing what only he could do, having grown up playing hockey and then getting hurt, and then hockey, that injury then kind of catapulting me into what does God have for my life, leading me to get saved, and then for him to bring hockey back, right? Was amazing. And so I remember how weird that season was, the 2019 into 2020 season, when like COVID first popped off, because I
Hmm.
had just started doing chapels with Springfield, right? In the same city that I got hurt in. So full circle, God doing what only he could. And then COVID happens, and like the whole world shuts down, right? And then that next season, like you were saying, you're playing hockey, but there's no fans. And it's like you're getting that pro experience, but I'm sure on some level, it wasn't the full pro experience, right? Probably
Right.
not until your next year. So, like, can you
Hmm.
describe that first year going into a season? You're a pro now, and you're getting to play in front of fans, and you're probably not playing the same, like two or three teams 1,000 times like you guys
Right.
had to
Yeah.
during
Yeah.
COVID. So like
Exactly.
what was that like, being able to just like kind of like your first like real pro season with the fans and all that stuff?
Yeah. It was exciting. It was really exciting. I remember going that summer going into it. I'm like, hey, this is it. Like this is the real deal. Real training camp.
Yeah.
Fans are back. Uh, and it helped me. Like even just being playing the half season before with no fans, like it really still helped me transition into that
Yeah.
second year pro for me, but first real full schedule, full
Hmm.
fans and everything. Um, so yeah, we had a really good team. I mean, I remember that training camp in my second year uh, with the Flames going into camp there, and I had a really good camp.
Mm.
Was one of the last guys cut from the team. I had like 3 goals in 4 games. They had to keep me around.
Yeah.
So
As a
yeah, I had a really
D-man,
good. Yeah, as a D-man,
the
yeah,
the center the center tendencies were showing up.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like, yeah, I made some good impressions at camp, just with my play there, and I ended up getting sent to Stockton.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, obviously bummed. You never, when you get cut, it doesn't matter if you're the first or last guy cut or whatever. If you're in the
Yeah.
plans or not, like it's always you're there to. Everyone's there. You're 65 guys there to make the team.
Yeah.
Whatever contract you're on, that's everybody's goal. But yeah, I went to Stockton, and we were actually in Stockton, California, for people who don't know. But I actually really enjoyed my time there.
Yeah. Well, that's a big change up
Just
from Illinois.
For sure,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, just like the day-to-day lifestyle, like the weather was
Mm-hmm.
awesome every day, shorts to the rink,
Yeah.
and we had such a good team.
Mm-hmm.
The guys on the team um, were just, some. I think that was one of my most fun years of hockey. I'd say
Yeah.
to this day, just all the guys and we were a real team. We
Mm-hmm.
really started the year hot and just we had a lot of good players and we ended up winning our division that year.
That's awesome.
And yeah, ended up losing. We made it far. We made it to the conference finals. We lost to the Wolves, the conference finals of the Calder Cup. But yeah, I think, and then I was up and down a little bit with Calgary that same season.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to get a taste of, I got in some action that year with the Flames. I think I played 3 games, but still it was really cool to get in and just be on that team with be in the locker room with some really really good guys, really good players too. That was when Johnny Gaudreau was on the team. To have a relationship with him, like just looking back now, obviously it's but yeah, just it's cool to be in the room with some of these guys and just to see how they interact with other players and their mindset and everything.
Yeah.
I'm obviously trying to take as much in as I can when I'm there and around these guys. So yeah, I mean, I guess going back to like the preseason that year was maybe that's why I had a good camp because the fans were back. So that was like my real NHL taste. But so yeah, that kind of brings me to that was my second year.
Yep. Yeah. So can you speak, because since becoming a chaplain and getting to see a bit of the behind the scenes of just the season as a whole, the highs, the lows, injuries, guys getting sent up, sent down, all of that, like, can you just speak to like what that's like from a player's perspective, right? Because you're a competitor, you're a phenomenal hockey player, you're putting in the work off ice, on ice, you're focusing on nutrition and weight training, you're putting all this work in to get to the highest level, to stay at the highest level. And like you've touched on, you've in Calgary, you went up and down, you go to Arizona, then you come to New York. That's where I met you when you started to, when you were at Hartford. Can you just talk from like the player perspective, what that's like?
Yeah, I think for myself, it's almost just normal. I think a lot of friends, my friends see maybe the lifestyle and me going up and down and signing with a new team. I got traded once.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know how you do it, and all this. And to me, I've been kind of living this life for 10 years now.
Yeah.
It's almost normal to me, moving around and being on different teams and getting called up, getting sent down, and so it is difficult. I'm fortunately for me, like I don't have a wife and kids where I have to uproot 5 people and move. That's tough. A lot of that happens to a lot of I've seen teammates and friends, and it's a lot more challenging.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more mobile, so for me it's not too bad. But it's hard. It's hard. I even at the end of seasons or whatever it is, like some of my best friends, when I got traded from Calgary to Arizona, I haven't seen those guys since the day I left. Some of those teammates of mine. That's just kind of how it goes. You hope to run into them during the season, catch them for 10 minutes after, but if you get traded or whatever it is, like, it's a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah.
When I got traded from Calgary to Arizona, I didn't think I was going to get traded. I heard some maybe rumors, and I wasn't sure. And then they got the call, and I was on a plane like 3 hours later. I packed a suitcase, and
It's that fast.
yeah. And then I was practicing with Arizona the next day, and then I played the night after that. It was that fast, so it really does happen quick.
Wow.
Even this season in Hartford here, you see it.
Yeah.
We've got a couple trades, and yeah, you really see the business side of things. I guess with that, but as far in the up and down too, it also happens quick. You get the call, and kind of, for my call ups, unfortunately, like, it always seems like you get it when you're least expecting it. Like, you're walking on the bus. I remember my first year pro, I was actually on the bus. We're in Manitoba, play Winnipeg's farm team. And I was on the bus ready to go to the game, and had my coffee. It was like towards the end of the season, and they pulled me off the bus. Coach is like, wants to talk to me. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And pulled me off the bus, say, you're going up. I was like, wow, like it. And then bus left. I'm at the hotel with my suitcase and my hockey bag.
You're just
waiting. I'm just there, and now I'm going getting the tap. So it's just, it's crazy. It happens so fast. And but yeah, it's cool to experience it. I'm very lucky that way, like, to give me the opportunity to just meet a lot of people and kind of look, it's given me a lot of time too to my own time to, like, think about things on my own and just grow myself too as a human.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a perfect segue, right? Just growth overall as a human being, right? Like, who Connor Mackey is off the ice, right? So I've gotten to know you over the last couple of years. And like I said earlier on, like, pretty instantaneously, like a brotherhood was developed between the two of us, and I'm super grateful for you. And, just seeing you grow in your faith, right? But can you share that part of, like, how you got to where you are now in your faith, right? And, like, how that has even impacted you in regards to hockey, and just, all the things there. I don't want to speak for you. I want to hear like, your journey with that.
For sure. Yeah. I think it's definitely been a journey. Mm-hmm. I really got introduced to it my time in college. A couple guys on the team were really started getting into it, and I was good buddies with them. So, credit to them. They never really pushed it on me, but just being around them and kind of being able to see the community that they were involved in was something that I was kind of interested in, and really kind of started from there. With those I had two teammates specifically that really, I guess, just showed me or just really, like, helped me dive into it more. And then so I think that was, like, important too when I was first learning about it and getting into it, was just the people around and the community, and seeing them interact, and just to see how much joy and fulfillment they had in themselves. What was, and I was, when I was, just friends too, like, that I ended up making. I'm like, wow, like, these people have so much, they're just so fulfilled, and it was something that really, like, I was kind of curious about, and just kind of, stuck with, and I kept hanging around them, and kept going to Bible study. We had a Bible study back then. So that was important. I think that, and when I turned pro, you have that transition, but you kind of I kind of lost the community side of things, as far as the people there, being on a college campus and other people around. Mm-hmm. And your community's in the room, and really you have the 20, 25 guys, and you know what it's like with our chapel here in
Yeah.
Hartford. It's pretty small,
Yeah.
4 or 5 guys. But it's better than zero.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but
And there's ebb and flows just with like guys going
yeah,
up, down, trades, and yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. Um, I guess so. I was always um, that was the start of it. I would say that
Yeah.
was the start of really getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was my second year in Calgary
Okay.
when I was called up. We traded for Ryan Carpenter, who
Yep.
and he
Shout
was,
out to
yeah,
Carpy.
Carpy, great dude.
Yep.
Um, he was with the Blackhawks at the time. We traded for him, and um, yeah, it was kind of, looking back at it, we both weren't playing. He was like one of the extra forwards. I was one of the extra D, and
Mm-hmm.
we got to spend a lot of time together. His family was still in Chicago at the time, so he would have me over for dinners, and he was really into his faith, and he really kind of inspired me to continue with it,
Mm-hmm.
and keep evolving and keep learning and kind of take a deeper dive into it.
Yeah.
And our friendship really grew from there, and still talk to him quite a bit, and that was kind of another turning point, I'd say,
Yeah.
in things for me.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
and
that's
then yeah,
huge.
just
I want to just like touch on that
yeah,
because I'm noticing a
yeah,
theme from the time in college and then in Calgary, right? So like the importance of community when it comes to
hmm
your faith journey
yeah,
and having people that you are doing life with, right?
right,
Who are encouraging you and helping you press in. So like, can you just hit on that a little bit more?
definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to do anything by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Just to have the support around you um, is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yourself and me and you, for example, like you've
Yeah.
really inspired me and pushed me to kind of just grow even more, with
Yeah.
Jesus and everything. So it's important. I'd say that's such an important part of you can find someone, a buddy, a teammate, a community to just lean on.
Yeah.
Is really gonna just help you go to that next level of things.
Yeah. Absolutely. So there's another cool theme that I noticed, right? College, Calgary, you had people who were investing in you, right? Who were planting the seeds, encouraging you. I have
Mhm.
seen over the years that I've known you, you kind of take on that role as the guy who's encouraging people to come to chapel, to give Jesus a chance, right? Like um
Yeah,
when did you notice that shift kind of happen for you, or have you even noticed that shift happened?
a little bit. Yeah, I think this season, in particular,
Mhm.
you kind of mentioned it to me early on, and um, yeah, I don't know if it's something that the Lord just kind of worked through me and
Mhm.
um, put on my heart to kind of continue to plant seeds. But um, I think I'm naturally I was gifted to be more of a quiet leader, and I think just being in the chapel sessions with you, and um, I try to I try to just be myself, obviously, and
Mhm.
chime in when the opportunity is right. But yeah, of course, like I'm always trying to, hey, invite guys to chapel, and I'm never pressuring them. But
Yeah.
if they can see me, go, I want to, I hope if Matt goes, why can't I go, type of
Yeah.
thing, and just even if it's, you get one guy, it's a
Yep.
win, and then you get the next guy, and so
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. You and I joke around all the time about that quote from our favorite show, The Chosen, right? So you've said it a bunch this season, and every time you say it, I absolutely love it because it's the truth, right? So what is it? What's the saying? You know what it is.
Dude,
I'm putting you on the spot, but you know what it is.
you're putting me on the
I'm
spot.
putting you here. I'll give you a little.
The fisherman.
There,
Okay.
there it is.
Oh, fisherman of men.
There it
Yes, yes.
is.
Fisher.
Fisher of
You
men.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I put you on the spot, but
No, you're good
that's everything. You know,
for
it's
sure.
like that imagery that Jesus uses with the disciples, right? And
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
got that line obviously from scripture, but one of our mutual favorite shows, The Chosen, right? Where they just do a phenomenal job of portraying the story and the behind the scenes almost of Jesus and his disciples. And Jesus says that, right? Like fisher of men. Um, so let's talk about The Chosen a little bit, right? Um,
hmm
how has that helped you kind of get a better understanding of Jesus, who he is to you, and making the Bible come to life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's helped me a lot. I mentioned it before. I'm kind of a visual learner
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to things. So to be able to see the chosen and see how Jesus interacted with his disciples and just other people, like that really helped me connect to the Bible.
Yeah.
And when I read scripture and I read a verse of Matthew, and I'm like, oh, this is I know exactly. You kind of make the connection to the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely helped me a lot, just to kind of put the two and two together and understand things more.
Yep. What's been your favorite episode?
I love the first season, was really good early
Yeah.
on. Episode one, the start of it was like super impactful,
Mm-hmm.
uh, when he was gathering his disciples in the first season. I mean, they're all so good.
They
I'm
are.
excited for. Is it season five coming out or is it six?
I
I don't
think
know.
it's
I think
five.
is it five? Yeah, that's
Hold
coming
on.
out
Let
in a
me.
couple months. It's got to be soon.
It's got to be soon. Hold on. I'm
Yeah,
looking because I need to know.
it's hard to pick a specific episode. They're all good and
Okay, so
impactful in
maybe
their
not a
own.
specific episode. Do you have like what would be the Mount Rushmore of like scenes or stories that The Chosen has hit so far where you're like, that's a good one.
Um, I would say I in particular. I mean, all the scenes where Jesus is working his miracles in people's lives, but the one when he healed the man at the pool,
Yeah.
that was like really deep.
Mm-hmm.
And asked him, "Do you want to be healed?" And pick up your mat. And he couldn't walk for whatever 28 years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And um, that one was I thought really stood out to me,
Yeah.
in particular. Yeah.
Yeah. What about that episode? Like what about that hit a chord with you?
Well, I think you just it's funny you see that one too, but you see it in multiple episodes. You start seeing yourself in some of these scenes.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to be healed? And you kind of ask yourself that question. Do you, or you know? Um, so I think that's what really hits with the chosen
Yeah.
in particular.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
So
No, it's so good. I think one of my favorites is in the show Little John has the limp, right? He's struggling to walk, move
yeah.
around, all that stuff. And people are getting healed around him and he's
hmm
seeing all these miracles take place like the guy at the pool, right?
Yeah.
And he has that one-on-one moment with Jesus and he's, wondering why he hasn't been healed, right? And
Yeah.
what Jesus communicates with him is like, how much more powerful is your testimony that you have been with me, haven't been healed, and you're going to continue to stay with me and continue to share that. Like that episode, like that particular scene in that episode, like that got the waterworks going for me because I was like, man, like that's what it means to follow Jesus. Like it's not always about like what we're going to get from him. Like God blesses us in so many ways. Um, but a big piece of it is like, I'm going to follow you regardless because of what you have done for me. And
Hmm.
most importantly, what you have done is you've saved me from my sins. Like that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. And so yeah, no, that particular scene, um, that one got me good. That one got me good. So another question I have for you, right? So like you're pressing in to your faith, and I absolutely love to see it. I've been blessed to see your growth. It's motivated me. It's challenged me. You ask phenomenal questions. So like with that, and kind of just like your own time with Jesus, what what is he teaching you in this season of life that you find yourself in?
Yeah. I'd say right now, just patience, honestly.
Mm,
Um, the season's such a long season, and I think sometimes you try to think about what's next and, where I'm going to be. And, this is what I feel like what I want. And,
mm-hmm.
you know, and at the end of the day, it's just trying to, um, trust that, his plan is greater than the one I have for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's so good.
you know, yeah. And just live the day to day through him. And I know that the rest will come, whatever that is. And so I'd say patience is something. And I'm still asking, him, what I'm trying to listen to what he has for me as well. So
Mm-hmm.
like, I think that question, like, I'm still asking that same thing to him every day.
Yeah.
What does he have for me? And, um, but yeah, I would say one thing that's stood out is I think all year, I think we've talked about it, me and you too, is just
Mm-hmm.
staying, just being patient and trusting him,
Yeah.
to trust him because, like I said, I put my trust in him.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, that's going to give me peace every day,
Yeah.
whatever happens on the ice, off the ice. Uh, so yeah, I would say those two things.
Yeah. No, that's huge. I mean, patience and
Hmm.
peace. Two
Yeah.
massive things that myself included, and I'm sure so many other people can relate to, right?
Hmm.
And then patience is one of those things where it's like you pray for it, and then God's going to give you situations where you're going to have to be patient. It's
For
kind of,
sure. Yeah.
it's kind of a double edged sword. It's like you're asking for patience, and He's like, "All right, I'm gonna give you an opportunity where you're going to have to be patient." Um, so how's that been going for you?
It's been going. Yeah. I think it's challenged me.
Mm-hmm.
He's challenged me in different ways. It's helped me grow a lot,
Yeah.
and that growth is for myself. It's, I feel like I see it in myself and the way I interact with people. And,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's giving me peace, like I mentioned. Um,
Yeah.
it's not easy. If following Jesus was easy, everyone would do it,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, I think it's definitely challenged me, and because of those challenges, it's helped me grow a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, what you just said is massive because that's the reality. Like
Hmm.
Jesus describes it as there is a narrow path and there's a wide path. The narrow path leads to life and life abundantly, and the wide path leads to destruction. And that's the one that majority of people find, right? Like
Yeah.
living your life in such a way of where you're immediately going for like the instantaneous gratification and you know the things that make you feel good in the moment, all of that stuff. While it's great in the moment, what's waiting for you at the end of that road is being separated from God for all eternity, not acknowledging who Jesus is. But like you said, following Jesus is not easy, and it's worth it. It's absolutely
Yeah.
worth it. So with that, like who if a teammate, you know, were to ask you, who is Jesus to you? And why is it worth following him? Like what would be your response?
That's a great question. Yeah. Um, well, you just said it, to obviously, uh, you want to have eternal life with Jesus at the end of the day, at the
Mm-hmm.
end when it's all said and done. But, it's hard to, I think, sometimes, um, you know, I feel like, I guess, myself personally, you have to experience it
Hmm.
You can share and share, and
Yeah.
until you experience it, that's when it hits you. And but yeah, to me, it's he's everything in my life.
Hmm.
I really try to, you know, every day is rooted in him, and that whatever happens in my day today, it's gonna be okay, because you know I have I have faith in him that he has me, and um yeah. So
Yeah.
sorry, what was the second part of that question?
So
Uh
honestly, now I forgot. Like who? Okay, so who is he? Who
oh,
is he to
to me,
you?
yeah, who is he
Yeah,
to me, and then
and like why is it worth
explain.
following him? There it is. We found it.
Right.
We found it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's worth following him. Just it's given me so much peace in my life,
Hmm.
honestly, and it's given me honestly a different view on things. Like, man, that's such a tough question,
Yeah.
man. So,
No, it
but
is.
yeah, just the experiences I've had
Yeah.
in my own heart and in my own life,
Hmm.
I feel like have shaped me into a yeah, obviously a follower of Jesus, but just the person I am
Yeah.
and how I interact with people. Like it's really changed my life in a
Hmm.
way. That's funny you said that. A teammate just asked me that the other day.
Oh, really?
I won't get into it
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but two, I will. We can, yeah, touch on it maybe another time. But
Yeah, absolutely.
it was difficult for me to answer even at that point.
Yeah.
Try to do my best, but I think, yeah, until you experience it, that's when it really kind of it changes things,
Hmm.
to experience things. But yeah, he's been everything, in my life, and has just really, yeah, I mean, just helped me in my day to day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. So what have been some of those experiences for you? I'll go first. So like I
yeah.
grew up in church, but church wasn't in me. So like I knew what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say, given the different contexts and circumstances that I was in. And then when it became real for me was I was 21. I was at a youth and young adult conference in Smithfield, Rhode Island, the Awakening Conference, and that changed my life. There was a pastor preaching, Rich Wilkerson Jr. He preached this message about what it looks like to actually submit your life to Jesus, right? And so I remember praying, God, if you're real, and Jesus, if you are real, I don't want to live my life not in a relationship with you. And it was as if I heard this voice inside that was like, I've been here the entire time. You're the one who's been running away. And then that was it. Game over. I was like, you really are real. You really are real. You met me exactly where I was at. And that was in a season of my life where like I didn't really know who I was. I was in college. I was doing the college thing, partying, drinking, all that stuff like but I wasn't finding any joy or any peace in that, right? Um and so I was really questioning like who am I? And then boom, have that experience with Jesus and everything shifted. So like for you, what has been, maybe you have like one big moment where you like that's the one. Like I'll never forget that. Or maybe there's been a couple. Like what do you have?
Oh man, yeah, I think there's probably been a couple. I think it's the people I've met along the way,
Mm,
um, and that have touched my heart,
yeah.
and that's helped me, because them touching my heart through Jesus is and me experiencing it and feeling it has inspired me to touch other people's hearts.
Yeah.
Um,
That's huge.
yeah, I think just the college experience and the
Yeah.
community that I had there, the two teammates, and especially, and Carpy, obviously,
Yep.
him, you know um, pulling me along in the journey.
Yep.
I did the PAO conference this past summer, and that
Yeah.
was really impactful for me.
Yep.
Um, and just other friends, honestly, I've had that I can lean on and talk to about, and then just hear their stories,
Mm.
and experiences um, that's impacted me,
Yeah.
and then to have my own experiences and answered prayers you see sometimes,
Yeah.
and has really made me stick with the faith journey and realize that there's something there. This
Yeah.
is not none of this is a coincidence type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
um
good.
yeah, yeah,
That's good. All right, so I could ask you questions all day, but
yeah.
you have been so insightful and have shared so much, but I want to end with a question that I'm going to ask every guest, right? And so um I call it like the nugget of gold, right? So like if you could share one thing with the younger generation of not only hockey players, just athletes, um if you could share one nugget of gold, something that you have learned in regards to just like playing sports, but also your faith and how it all, mingles together, what would that nugget of gold be?
I would say to just root yourself in the Lord,
Mm,
even if it's 5 minutes a day, and have a relationship with Him somehow. um Whether it's even just 5 minutes of prayer,
mm-hmm.
and setting your heart out into the world, like, this is I'm gonna live a life through you today.
Yeah.
uh, or um, even just talking to a teammate, a friend, about the faith and Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and sharing stories, and just being open to it.
Yeah.
I think is important, because it's something that doesn't just come overnight. I mean, it's been, even for myself, years to
Mm-hmm.
of the roller coaster of the faith journey, and learning more about it and experiencing different things. But I think just being open to it is the first step.
Yeah.
Ask questions. Like, I'm asking you questions all the time.
Yeah.
Just be open to it, and if you can be open to that, and he's gonna come into your life if you're open to it, and he's gonna change your heart, and
Yep.
he's gonna do things in your life you never think that um, that you would never think of.
Yep.
Even myself, I never thought I'd be on a podcast with you.
Yeah.
Here's one example right here. We're living proof of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I never thought I'd be doing this either. So
Right.
yeah, no,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
real. Like what's the scripture? Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up right now. Also, I did look it up. It's gonna be the fifth season of The Chosen coming up,
Hmm.
number 5. Um, because as you were saying that, right, Jesus coming into your life when you ask him to, right? The verse that it made me think of is, where is it? Revelation chapter 3, verse 20, where it says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and eat with him, and he with me." Like, that's it.
That was just that's great. That was just on one of the quotes of the day, or the verses of the day, sorry, on the app.
Oh, was it really on the U version app?
Yeah, it was like two
Yeah.
days ago. It's
Was it really?
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, you have been a huge piece in keeping me accountable with my streak there. Um,
Dude, I got the record, I think.
what do you have right now?
Right now for the I think it's 135, 136
Is it that high?
tie.
Pull it up. I
Should
want
I
to see
look?
the receipts. I'm at
Wait, 134?
134. Let's
Oh,
go,
can you see
guy.
it
I can
up
see
there?
it. I can see it.
It's a
134.
little blurry.
Yeah, yeah, no, I can
Yeah.
see it. No, you've got me. I'm at 74. I had a I had a mishap a couple months ago where I thought I had logged in, but I didn't. It got away from me. No, I love that. How impactful has the verse of the day been for you?
Yeah, that's been huge for me. I mean, I'm on. I got, we just talked about the streak there. That I did that first thing in the morning,
Yeah,
and I feel like that just um, really helps me start the day,
yeah,
right away. I love that. You introduced me to that, and that's been that's been huge for me. Yeah, I really enjoy that, and that's something that's helped me a lot.
Yeah. Because it gives you something that you can go to every single day without having to like, have like a devotional book in front of you, something like that, like the push notifications, all of it's a game changer for sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
No, that's
I
awesome.
I try to not every day, but I'll try to. My one of my buddies actually started sending me the verse a day.
Yeah.
This is before I got on the app,
Oh, really?
and then when I got on the app, I would click on the verse of the day, and then my buddy would send me the verse of the day, and it was the same one. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Are you just reading this like off the Bible and like is it a coincidence or
Yeah.
like?" He's like, "No, I have the app too," and I'm like, "Okay." So he actually inspired me, and I'll send it out to people,
Yeah.
not every day, but just once in a while.
Yeah.
Send it to a friend or something, and I can't tell you how many times people come back and be like, "Dude, I needed to hear that," or "This is unbelievable," or
Yeah.
just to change their day.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about it is I have found, and I'm sure you have found throughout your journey following Jesus, that every time you go to the Bible, every time you go to Scripture, it doesn't matter like where you flip to, it's always speaking to exactly what you're going through. And
Always, yeah. You always can relate to it somehow, yeah.
yeah,
Like in that moment,
in
yeah.
the verse of the day, it's almost as if the creators of the YouVersion Bible app are like sitting in your living room, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know what he needs tomorrow."
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's good. Well, bro, I appreciate you. This has been an absolute blast getting to hear your journey, um, getting to hear how you came up through high school hockey, the pond hockey stories with your brother, your dad playing pro, the juniors years, the college years, getting signed to your first NHL contract, and then just the journey of being a pro, and then your faith journey tied in throughout all of it. It has been an absolute blessing to get to be a part of the ride and a part of the journey, and then just personally, like, I'm super grateful for your heart, the commitment you have to growing in your faith and being that fisher of men that we talk about. It's been an absolute blessing to be a part of that. And so thank you again for jumping on the pod, your first one ever. Let's go.
Yeah.
But definitely many more. And this is your first, but it's not your last time on this podcast here. So thank you so much for hopping on, man.
Anytime, man. Likewise. Yeah, I really enjoyed the conversations here. Just excited for the future, bro. So yeah, thanks again.
All right, bro. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks, brother.
All right,
Yeah, man, you as well.
until next time.